In this video, I'm going to break down how I made $27,000 on my trade today in the stock market, and I'm going to give you insight on my new trading strategy, showing you how I went about actually managing that trade. So to kick things off, let's take things back to March 4th at 10:28. I'm using this simulated future on my broker, so you should see it says simulated trades, but at the end of this video, I will show you my broker statement. Now, I want to run you through the trade scenario and what was happening during the morning session at just about 10:30. So first things first, when it comes to how I'm actually going about identifying what stock to trade and what direction to bet on that stock going, well, I use my software. And you can see here at 10:28 on the 4th, I was notified of these CVNA calls. You can see they hit my day trading filter, and these came in when CVNA was trading at 197.16. Okay, these were the 3/7/25, 197.50 strike. So 3 days to expiration. Now, the next thing after the order comes through, what I do is I'm obviously going to go about purchasing those same contracts. So that's what I did. You can see here my average entry was $736 per contract, and I was in with $25,000. My gross P&L on this trade was over 27 grand, and that was equivalent to a 108% net ROI. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but no matter what amount of capital you trade with, making over 100% on one trade in one day is going to give you worthwhile returns. So I'm not sitting here showing you, hey, I traded with 100,000+ in position size and I only made 10, 15, 20%. I was able to actually make over 100% of that position, coming out obviously with that return. Now, I wanted to quickly mention, if you're interested in trading live with me every single morning, I will put a link in the description below to my mentorship group. Now, if I play through this scenario, as traders, we are always presented with the question of, well, where are we wrong and where are we right? So how are we going to go about managing that trade to determine when we're going to pull out for a win or a loss? Just about the last year, I've been working on building this day trading strategy, which is how I'm going about trading in 2025. And I'll give you a little insight into this custom script that I have built. And I'll show you at that time the order did come in, all I have to do is essentially open up this script, and it's going to ask me for a couple criteria. Now, I'm going to show you from a basic perspective of what this script does to determine where it's going to give me my stop loss and take profit, but let me just show you how it works. We obviously just bought the contracts. They came through on my software. Next thing is we're going to go, obviously the position type was long because I bought calls. The entry month was going to be 3, the entry day, obviously being the 4th. This order came in at 10:28. So I'm going to type in 10:28, and the entry price is just going to be the spot price, which means that this is the price per share of CVNA at the time this order came through on my software, which was 197.16. 197.16. Now we're going to hit OK, apply. And you can see here, I've got this big red line and this big green line. Obviously, the green line is going to represent my take profit, and the red line is going to represent my stop loss. Now, you can see the long at 197.16. This is when the order came through on my software. And you can see here, my entry was 10:31. So it did take me a couple minutes to actually get into this trade. So I got in here at 10:31. We could see that essentially from my entry to my take profit, there was about a 7%. So CVNA had to move up about 7% for me to hit my take profit. And on the other hand, CVNA had to move down just about 3.5% to hit my stop loss. We're working with just about 2 times the amount of upside as there is downside. And if we play this through, let's go to 11 o'clock. You can see CVNA started chopping around, but we still were green. And if we go to 12 o'clock, 12:35, you can see we did get this nice follow through and getting very, very close at this point, obviously, to my take profit. And if I look at the charts running P&L behind this trade, well, you can see that I was actually never in the red throughout the duration of this trade. So I was up 3K, back down to 1K, back up to 4K, back down to 2K. And then you can see this big push up to 19. We started consolidating right around 208. You could see, but we were still forming higher highs, so things still looked good here, and we were just waiting for this final little push of just over 0.5% to hit my take profit at 210. And at that point, I had an alert set. If we did hit that take profit, I would get notified on my phone, and I would log on to my broker and I'd close out that trade. So boom, there we go, just hit TP. I logged onto my phone and we locked in that profit. And you can see I did get filled at about 1,535 a contract at the peak P&L of the day for a 27K day. But how was this take profit so accurate? Look at that, 7% upside is what we had. And look at that, even blew right through my take profit, which is a great thing to see. 7% upside we were able to cover in just a few short hours. I'm gonna show you how I built this algorithm and give you just a general idea. So what the algorithm does is it takes into account the last 30 days. So you can see here, I'm able to actually go back 30 days. Based off of the last 30 days, what the algorithm is doing is it is able to see, well, how has that specific stock been trading? What are those ranges during each day? So from the daily high to the daily low, how much of a range was covered? And then essentially it's able to figure out what the average daily range is. And then based off of that average daily range, it's able to project using probabilities. It's able to give us this projection. This is just a projection, this green line. It is essentially a projection saying, hey, based off the last 30 days, CVNA has the potential to move up to this point or down to this point. It doesn't mean it's going to be right every time, but this is not using some technical analysis trading strategy. This is not using candlestick patterns. This is simply using historical price action and historical probability. So every stock we trade is going to tell a different story. Some are going to be more volatile, some are going to be less. But what we're trying to determine is what is the average movement? What is the expected amount of area that is going to be covered on that stock from a percentage basis, whether it's to the upside or to the downside. And then what we're also able to do is determine, well, what is the probability? Now, trading is all about probabilities. Well, what is the probability that that stock is going to move to that given percentage? And by doing so, we're able to have these projections drawn out on the chart. And all I'm doing is I'm following these projections. So how would you do this on your own? Well, a very simple way of doing this would be to use a drawing tool. You can do this on any broker. Now, I like using this trend line tool on my platform here, and you're going to go on a 1 minute, 30-day time frame. You're going to go back and you're going to go through each day. Over the last 30 days, you're going to want to plot out the highest point. So figure out wherever the highest point of the day was and the lowest point of the day. So it looks like on this day off the open, the highest point of the day was just about here at 234. So we're going to go from the lowest or highest to lowest, doesn't matter. 225 is going to be the lowest. We're going to drag this price to the highest point of the day, and we can see we're working with a 4%. You can see that right there. Now let's go to the next day. 228 was the lowest point of the day. Highest point of the day was 236, 3.38%. You're going to do this for all 30 days. It looks like this day, the lowest point was 23394. Highest point was 3.98. So if we take those 3 days, this is what you're going to do with all 30. Obviously, we're going to go 3.98 plus, this was just about 3.29 plus 4. And we got 11.27. We're going to divide that by 3 because we did 3 days. And we could see our average daily range on CVNA is 3.75%. Now, what you can do is you head over to the current day you're trading on. Now, you can do this right before the market opens, right? You can have your trade plan in place and you can have your levels set or your projections set, right? I like calling them more of projections. And we can say, okay, well, if our average daily range is 3.75%, let's go and chart off from the open, or again, from whatever point you enter, right? So in this case, our long was at 197.16. Well, we're gonna see, okay, let's chart up 3.75, which would be about here. Ideally, your take profit would be a lot further away, where you would have a lot more space for that winner to run than your stop loss, and your stop loss would be tighter. So you could see obviously our take profit was just about 2 times our stop loss. So maybe you would drag down half of that 30-day average daily range for your stop, and then a full daily range for the take profit. And you kind of figure out where that level is going to be more ideal and optimal for you based off of your win rate. The algorithm just does that all automatically, right? So that's hopefully going to give you an idea as to how I went about managing CVNA, capitalizing on 7%, because I know you could look at this and say, wow, 7% is a crazy move. I would have sold this trade when I was up 3%, because that's a pretty big move to catch in one day. But we're able to use this historical data. We're able to use probabilities to determine where that stock could potentially move. All right, and I just want to show you guys, as I said I would at the end of this video, the broker statement from this trade. You can see here within Schwab, this is a regulated US broker. I trade options. I had that 25,000 behind this trade to make 27,000. 119.52. Again, the broker, based off your broker, is going to take a bit in fees and commissions. You can see here the actual realized net ROI of 108.28%. I can refresh this page. There it is. You can see this is like an actual active live page. This is the current market open. And let's refresh this. CVNA. Boom. Check it out. So there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe for more. Click the link below to trade live with me every single morning, and I'll see you in the next one.